be with the National Archives. That's the investigation that we know the Trump team has been cooperating with because the archives said so. Former President Trump, in that statement tonight, says there has been cooperation, which is why he's questioning and calling it inappropriate that a search warrant would be executed at his home.
All right. The former president has been cooperating, but we also know that many records that are usually kept by White House staff have been missing. What more can you tell us?
You know, it's not just that these records were kept by Trump after he governs, and very strictly how presidential documents have to be maintained. They're the custody of the American people, of the federal government, for posterity. But then there's also potentially the separate issue of classification. And there's a whole separate regime that exists for how to maintain classified documents. And we all learned a whole lot about that back in 2016 when then candidate Donald Trump made a lot of hay over former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a private email system and of government records, and then also potentially some classified communications that took place on that system. So if this is ultimately what is behind the execution of the search warrant, there's sort of certain irony to all of that. And one of the things that that those records have to be maintained in a very specific way, depending on the classification level, including specific types of safes rated by federal agencies to ensure that they comply with government standards. Any of those things could be relevant to potentially building a case regarding the handling of those documents if that reporting is clear. It might not even be just finding these specific documents that may be missing. It's also investigating the even the setting with which documents that had previously been turned over to the archives were kept, for the purpose of establishing how those documents were treated after the president left office.
Thank you, Zeke. We'll come back to you with some more questions. I also want to report that Nicole Killian says that the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol says it will not be commenting on this search warrant. I want to bring in now Jessica Levinson. She is a CBS News legal contributor. Jessica, we heard from Jeff Pegues that this really is unprecedented. We also heard from the former president saying nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. Give us some more information about why the FBI would be going into the former president's home at a time when, according to our sources, he wasn't there.
Simply put, because they're looking for evidence cause that there was a federal crime that was committed and probable cause that the evidence of that crime is where they say it was, in this case at Mar-A-Lago. So we don't need the president or the former president for this particular search warrant. What we need are the documents. And that makes perfect sense given the reporting that you've done so far, which is that this could be about the Federal Records Act, that this could be about the documents, not just run-of-the-mill documents, which obviously need to be stored in the National Archives, but potentially even classified documents. I think there are a couple of reasons why that reporting makes a lot of sense, and that this isn't, for instance, necessarily about the fake elector scheme or something else directly connected to January 6th. Now, obviously, this is breaking. I think it's been less than an hour that we've heard about this, but it is a very big deal. We had a federal magistrate judge that had to sign off on this search warrant. Again, probable cause that a federal crime was committed, you have to point to a specific part of the federal code, and probable cause that the evidence of the crime is where they're executing the search warrant. It's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but it is big.
I want to bring back in Jeff Pegues now. We have him back on the phone. Jeff, we heard Jessica say that they need to have probable cause that the information that they're looking for is in fact there. What more are you learning about what the FBI may have gleaned or actually left with when they vacated Mar-A-Lago?
Well, CBS News has confirmed that the search warrant served on Mar-A-Lago in West Palm Beach is related to the missing documents investigation. As we've outlined over the last several minutes, there are several investigations that the former president is connected to. But that is the one that started in February or so of this year. So earlier this year, it's been ongoing for several months now. And what we have at the former president's property is FBI agents serving this warrant, looking for more information, more potential evidence. You know, as you know, and you've probably, many of you who are watching this program, perhaps listening to this program, have seen some of the most recent reporting today that the former president, there are images of documents in toilets